Hello and welcome to a new chapter of my journey from Morocco to New Zealand without taking a single flight. I just entered my 12th country of the trip, and it is a pretty interesting one, a tiny country in the Caucasus region and the first country ever to adopt Christianity as a state religion. It has its own branch of Catholicism, and well, Christianity is rooted in its history. 97% of the people here are still Christian to this day, even though it's fading in the West. Here, it is holding strong. I'm of course talking about Armenia. Well, there's a flag behind me, but there's no wind, so it doesn't work. But anyway, today we are going to unveil Armenia's history and explore around this tiny country, see what's going on there and what nice things we can see of its Christian history and also its Soviet history. It was a country in the USSR, but to show you that, we're gonna take the car and I'll take you somewhere.
Ça va?
Ça va? On se casse?
On se casse, mec.
Allez, on se casse. Let's go explore Armenia. Armenia rock.
Armenia!
And we are somewhere where the weather is absolute shit. But this is Lake Sevan. This is the biggest body of water in Armenia. This is a landlocked country, but they have this big lake that takes up like a very large portion of the country actually. But as you can see, it's extremely cold. There's snow all around it. Yeah, it's cold, it's raining, not great. But we came here to see this church, so let's check it out. And there it is, the Sevan Monastery, overlooking the whole lake and the town of Sevan right here. If you look here, you can see how large this lake is. I cannot see the other side at all actually. The lake is entirely within Armenia, but it is really large. It takes up like, I think roughly maybe 15% of the size of Armenia. It's actually freezing cold here. Must be nicer to visit in summer. I mean, this is good with, you can see the snow on top of the mountains, but must be cooler in summer still. They actually built it in the 9th century, can you imagine? Over 1,000 years old. And I was wondering the same thing in Georgia, but like, why do they come all the way up here in such remote and cold locations to build their monasteries? I don't get it. Anyway, you can see the Armenian style church. Oh. 50 kilos de sucre. Nice. Very cramped, very narrow. Man, this is freezing cold. Some of the coldest water I've ever touched. This is the only place where Armenians can swim in their country. I don't think you can swim there even in summer. I mean, it must be super, super cold. We're so high up in the mountains. I probably go to Georgia to swim. Not to Azerbaijan though. Anyway, let's get out of here. Too cold. Welcome to Yerevan, capital of Armenia. And I figured maybe the best place to start this would be to talk about the Armenian genocide. So I came here to the Armenian genocide complex. They made this monument with a flame inside of it. This is an eternal flame to, honor the people who lost their lives during the Armenian genocide. I think we don't talk about this enough in the West, because that's like one of the most significant things that happened during World War I. So inside the Ottoman Empire, well, according to the different sources, between 600,000 and 1.5 million Armenians lost their lives just during World War I. So that was a very big tragedy. Turkey doesn't recognize it as a genocide as of today, but other countries do. And it's one of the biggest tragedy for this country. I mean, it's a country with only 3 million people today, so like a very significant chunk of the Armenian people, the Armenian culture was destroyed at this time. So that warranted to have a big memorial on top of the city of Yerevan right here. And they even dedicated a whole forest, I mean a small forest with a bunch of trees. Each of the trees dedicated to a political figure who recognize the Armenian genocide or pay tribute to the victims, such as, for example, this tree is dedicated to the President of Poland, Aleksander Kwaśniewski. Okay, I'm probably not pronouncing this right, but I can be proud of my country for once, because this one right here is dedicated to a former French president, Jacques Chirac, as well as his wife for some reason. I mean, why not? Macron, even our current French president is there. Pretty cool. One of the only good things he's done. You even have people like Putin or the Pope. Like, this genocide has been widely recognized. And I mean, Turkey is one of the last one that doesn't want to recognize it. A bit of a shame. Well, that's what happens in a country where everyone is driving like a madman. Yeah, driving in Armenia is not easy, especially in Yerevan, but so yeah, you do end up getting accidents like this. Anyway, let's go explore the city center of Yerevan. They call this place Friends Square. I think they do really like my country here. To be fair, we have helped them in the past, and we have a significant minority of Armenians in France. So yeah, love you Armenia from France. Let's go find some real Armenian cuisine. You're not ready for this. There it is. If you watched the last video in Georgia, you know that we're very excited to get there because we didn't find it in Georgia. We're gonna eat some French tacos today. Real French cuisine near the French Square. Isn't that perfect? Time to try the French tacos in Armenia. Look at this. Let's try it. Feeling right at home here. We just had the most unexpected and kind of crazy encounter. Like the boss of the restaurant we were just earlier, the French tacos restaurant, it's that guy. You probably don't know him, but he was like the captain of the national football team of Armenia for years. He had a very big international career. Like, he actually competed against players like Zidane. He met players like Pelé. You probably know Pelé if you know anything about football. I don't know much about football, but even I can understand how crazy that encounter was. Like, he's actually a really famous guy, and now he has a French tacos in Yerevan. That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, look at this monument. This is the Cascade Complex of Yerevan. A very big Soviet monument. And honestly, it looks pretty impressive. Like, genuinely, this is one of the most impressive Soviet monuments I've seen. Well, I assume there's supposed to be water there. But no water today. I don't know if it's not working anymore or what, but pretty damn impressive. Structure that was finished in 1980, so when Armenia was still a Soviet republic. And it's used to connect the center in front of me to the upper city right here. Okay, just found something pretty interesting next to this structure here. Look at this building. Pretty normal building, but if we zoom in, there's a flag there. Can the wind stop, please? Okay. Yeah, you can see it now. Just like the Armenian flag, but there's like this small kind of arrow. And this is the flag of Artsakh. If you don't know about Artsakh, the Republic of Artsakh, it doesn't exist anymore. You could say it was like an Armenian unrecognized state within Azerbaijan. You know, like internationally it was recognized as a part of Azerbaijan, but it was inhabited by Armenians that declared their own independence. And it was a de facto state for around 30 years until it was reconquered by the Azerbaijani army in the Second War of Nagorno-Karabakh. This is how they call this region in Azerbaijan, and they reconquered it in 2023. And the Armenians that live there, they have fled from the country. So this republic doesn't really exist anymore, but people keep using the flag, interestingly. And now we're walking all the way to the top of Yerevan. There should be a good viewpoint here. But this monument you can see here, it's the monument for the 50th anniversary of the October Revolution, the revolution that created the USSR. So yeah, another big Soviet monument at the very top of the city. And there's the viewpoint of Yerevan. I think they're building something here, but for now it looks like nothing. And the cascade is just after a fence here. Lots of building and construction, lot of Soviet-style buildings around there. I can distinguish some mountains very, very far from here. On a good day you would be able to see Mount Aragat, which is the highest mountain in Armenia at about 4,000 meters. You know, it is actually pretty high, even though we're not really in the Caucasus Mountains, but we can't really see it today because it's a bit cloudy, sadly. And there's the Eiffel Tower, obviously. They really like to copy us. Well, time to get out of Yerevan for now, just for today. We are parked right in front of the National Assembly of Armenia. And there's the car. Hey! I guess they have the right of way. Please go ahead. Driving in Armenia is so funny. Man, it seems like every time we go somewhere outside of Yerevan in Armenia, the weather turns to absolute shit. But yeah, we drove all the way to this temple. This is Gyumri temple, a 1st century Greek temple. Can you imagine? So many old buildings here in Armenia. Check this out. Can you imagine this glass is from the 1st century? I don't know if there used to be some kind of relic here, some kind of statue. I mean, it's like a Greek temple, but I think it was built by the Romans. So maybe a tribute to the Roman gods around here. Maybe. Yeah, the Romans even came all the way to Armenia, can you imagine? This empire was so gigantic. All the way to the Caucasus Mountains. Well, the truth is, it's not exactly the original temple. The original one was destroyed in the 17th century because of an earthquake, but it's still pretty impressive that it held out for almost 1700 years, the original one. It was recreated the same as the original, so still pretty great. Hey! That's a good boy. You're a good boy. Okay, now I'm already spoiling all of it. This is a nice quirk of nature in Armenia called the Symphony of Stones. The most part is there. Look at this. Look at those weird rocks all around here. I guess nature is just doing weird things sometimes for no reason. I heard that Armenia has some of the purest water you can drink. All those tap water things, you can just drink from them, and I don't really know if that's true, but the water tastes alright, so hope I don't fall sick. Well, it is pretty impressive. I mean, it's just some rocks at the end of the day, but it's close to other tourist attractions like the temple. There's a monastery we're gonna see next, and the entry is less than €1, so I guess it's worth checking out when you visit Armenia. And there we are. We quite literally made it to the end of the road. You know, this road, it goes like 30k out of Yerevan, and it stops here at this monastery, the Geghard Monastery. Let's go and check it out. Okay, free entry for once. The monastery is partially carved directly out of the mountain, as you can see here. It looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it's in construction as well. And for once, they decided to build it at the bottom of the mountain instead of the top like they usually do. Ooh, there's a waterfall. Cool little waterfall next to the monastery. Whew. This is pretty good. They actually build crosses on top of this rock. I don't even know how you'd get there. Maybe you can climb all the way to the top of this mountain. Maybe. Not doing that though, the weather is shit. Come back in summer. Definitely some nice hikes to do in summer around here. Je pense qu'elle est bonne. Mais je t'avais dit qu'elle était bonne. Okay, we're done with this. We're done with this terrible weather. Let's go back to Yerevan for the night. How much?
You.
1,000?
Yes.
For a monastery as well?
You parking, you monastery.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Khor Virap Monastery, one of the most important monasteries in Armenia. I mean, they all kind of look the same, to be honest. You know, Armenian churches, they have their own style, but yeah, then each one of them pretty much looks the same. This one was built in the 7th century, so it's over 1,300 years old. And if you look in this direction from the monastery, well, what you can see here is actually Turkey. We are less than a mile away from the Turkish border. So all the mountains you see, everything, this is actually part of Turkey, including one of the most sacred peaks in all of Armenia. This is Mount Ararat. Sadly we can't see it because it's very cloudy again, very foggy. But like right in front of me, just a few dozens of kilometers away, maybe 10, 20 kilometers, this is Mount Ararat. This is the sacred mountain of Armenia, despite being located in Turkey, which is interesting, but it was part of historical Western Armenia. You know, Armenians used to live in this whole region here in the Ottoman Empire, well, before the genocide happened, sadly. Nowadays, pretty much no Armenians live there, but it's still a symbol for them. It's still an important place. So let me tell you a story about this place. Once upon a time, there was a man called Gregory the Illustrator. He was born in the 3rd century, long before that chapel was even there. One day he entered the service of the king of Armenia at the time, but he was raised a Christian, which was very uncommon at the time. It was still a very small religion. One day he refused to make a sacrifice to a pagan goddess, and, well, to punish him, the king tortured him and threw him into a pit. This pit right here. Miraculously, he survived the fall and stayed here alone for 14 years and survived, somehow, in this space. And because of his resilience, he was eventually released and he ended up actually converting the king himself to Christianity. This is how Armenia became the first state to adopt Christianity as a state religion. Because of this story. And that's how this man, who is now known as Saint Gregory, brought Christianity to Armenia. And it was then followed by many, many countries around the planet, just because of a tiny hole like this and a man who spent 14 years there. And this is why this church was built right here and became an important pilgrimage site for Armenian Christians. He was the very first head of the Armenian church. So this whole story I just told you, from what I could gather, is actually a true story. It's not just some legend. This is actually how Christianity was brought to Armenia in the year 301. It became the state religion for the first time in a country in the world. And this is where it all took place. So yeah, really interesting place. Okay, churches and monasteries are cool, but you know what you want to see in Armenia? You want to see some Soviet stuff.
Where?
So we're getting there.
Where?
In those back roads in the middle of rural Armenia. We're going somewhere, that should be cool. What are those roads, man? There it is. Okay. I heard there's a guard guarding the place. I think you can still drive in if you give him some money, so let's try it. Where is he?
Hello.
It's possible to go in?
Permission, yes?
No permission.
No. Приходи через 30 минут.
Come back in 30 minutes.
Okay, okay. I'm not sure what that meant, but see you in 30 minutes. Hi.
Если просто посмотреть, 2000 драм one person.
Okay, thank you. Woo! We got in! What is this? Can you guys see what's going on inside here? Because I can't see anything. No. All closed. Well, I guess we can get into this one. That's not a problem. That's not the main thing of this area. And there's the main course. Oh man. Wow. And that's it. Look at this. This is called the ROT-54 Observatory of the Soviet Union. And that's all the info I have to give you. I have no idea what this place was used for or anything. So let's just check it out and enjoy the place. I've talked too much in this video already, so let's just roam around and explore this thing. J'ai failli mourir. Damn, that was insane. If you like Soviet stuff, if you like abandoned buildings, urbex, whatever, this is the best spot ever, the best spot I've ever visited. You can just go around, you just have to pay the guard a little bit, but man, this is so worth it. Best spot in Armenia?
Oui.
Oui? Ah, you should come here before they destroy it or make something else or just close it or whatever. Probably gonna happen at some point. Okay, time to move on. The last place we're going to is the second largest city in Armenia, Gyumri, close to the border with Georgia. So this will be our last stop before going back to Georgia. Let's go. Nice guest house in Gyumri. How are you? How are you doing?
Masha, Rosa, Rodzik.
Rodzik.
Liverpool?
Armenia?
No.
No?
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Yep.
Aujourd'hui, Liverpool, Paris.
Liverpool-Paris aujourd'hui? C'est vrai? Ah.
Masha.
Putain, ils ont de l'énergie ces chiens. I think Paris will win. Ok. Merci pour tout. Merci.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Armenian? How? Armenian?
How do you say?
C'était Tutun. Ok. Ok. Bye bye. And good morning for the last time in Armenia. This is our last day in this country and we're in front of this Soviet movie theater. Look at it. It's still working. They have a lot of Soviet buildings that are still active today here. It is pretty cold today here in Gyumri. It was like -3 this morning, now it's like 2 degrees I think. But yeah, this is Gyumri. They really don't like having water in their fountains here. That's too bad. So this is the main square of Gyumri, the Vardanant Square. As you can see, it's very car-centric. You can drive all around the main square, you can park on the main square. They didn't really get rid of cars in the city centers, which, I don't know, think what you want about it. Yerevan is sometimes known as the pink city of Armenia, and Gyumri is more like the black city. Look at this church. Black and orange cathedral, looks pretty nice. And this one here as well is black. They also have a black fortress, which we're gonna see later. Check this out. Wow. The colors of the big P. Now it looks pretty good, to be honest. So if you look around in Gyumri, well, you'll see a lot of buildings, most buildings actually, that look kind of recent. It doesn't look very much Soviet, and there's a reason for that. The city was actually hit by an earthquake in 1988 that claimed the lives of over 30,000 people, maybe up to 50,000 actually. So not just in the city, but in the whole region. And a very large portion of the city's buildings were destroyed by the earthquake. So the city is actually still rebuilding over 35 years later. That's why it looks a bit more modern than, you know, medium-sized Soviet cities usually do. It's because, well, the Soviet buildings are gone, basically. So yeah, that was one of the biggest tragedies in Armenia, and especially in this city right here, where a very large portion of the population was either injured or straight up killed. So I showed this statue while talking about the earthquake, but actually it's for the Armenian genocide. I guess both deserve to be talked about. I don't know if they have a memorial for like the earthquake, but that was a pretty big thing here.
Masterclass ou pas?
Oui.
Ah, tu sais ce qu'est Masterclass? Un dark ou pas?
Dark hookah! They really love shisha in all these countries. Look at the public transport of Gyumri. This is the best bus in Gyumri. Feel like I'm back in Myanmar or something. Look at this bus. What is this? Bavardez. Can I have pasta with tomato sauce? Macaroni, yes, tomato sauce. And water, soup. Oh no, that's Turkish. That's Turkish. Yes. That's what you get for 2.5 euros in Gyumri. That one, 2.5 euros as well. Good value, good value. So I already told you about the earthquake that happened here in 1988. Well, this is the result of it. An old hospital that is now completely in ruins, and it's been left there for, well, it's been almost 40 years actually. 38 years to be exact. Trees have been growing inside, vegetation, a lot of stuff. I don't know if they plan to rebuild it at some point, destroy it, build something else. I don't know, but for now it's been left for all this time. Oh, you can even go inside from here. Less than 20 seconds, that's the time it took to destroy all of this and kill thousands of people. Nature can be hard sometimes. Old hospital here in Gyumri. How you doing, buddy? That's a good boy. I made a new dog friend. So many dogs all around Armenia and Georgia as well. They really like dogs here. They don't seem to be starving, so I guess they're fed well enough. Here you got the memorial for the Second World War, which obviously Armenia took part of as a part of the Soviet Union, so a lot of people from the whole Soviet Union lost their lives in World War II, so that most likely included a lot of Armenians as well. And there's another woman statue right here. This is the mother of Armenia. They really like those kinds of statues in the Caucasus countries apparently. I saw the same one in Georgia. I mean, not exactly the same one, but it was the mother of Georgia. And there's the mother of Armenia. And next to it, you got the Black Fortress of Gyumri. This really is the Black City of Armenia. Let's check it out. It's a 19th century fortress built by Imperial Russia it was part of Russia at the time. And they built this whole fortress overlooking the whole region, as you can see. You can see quite far from here, all the way to the mountains. You can see those snowy mountains here. And even on the other side, you have snowy mountains all around. It's a pretty good location, I suppose. Probably a pretty useful fortress. Apparently they do concerts, they do live concerts inside of this now. You can actually enter in. Check it out. Looks pretty impressive. What's up, little boy? You wanna do the outro with me? No? Okay. I think this is the perfect place in front of another pretty terrible, if you ask me, Soviet monument. This is the Iron Fountain in Gyumri. And yeah, what else to say? Soviet monument. There are a lot of those in Armenia. If you like Soviet stuff, this is a good place to visit, I think. But for now, this is gonna be the end of my visit. I am heading back to Georgia with the rental car. We are going back to Georgia, and Axel is actually leaving tomorrow. He's flying out of Tbilisi tomorrow, and we're going to give back the rental car. But what is coming next? Because, well, this is not the end of my adventure, of course. I'm going all the way to New Zealand without flying, as you know. So I've got a few things to sort out in Tbilisi, and then I'll be heading straight to Russia. So this should be pretty interesting. I mean, visiting Russia as an European in 2026, I think that's not very common. I don't see many people doing it, so I had a decently good time in Armenia, I will say. Some good things, some bad things happen here, but you know, it is how it is. It's a nice country. There's not that much things to do, but if you like monasteries, if you like Soviet stuff, it is pretty interesting. Anyway, guys, see you in the next one. Say goodbye.